Productivity gains through AI. I mean, there's a lot of debate about this right now, and I think like almost every CTO has like a special opinion on it. Like some are super curious still, some like made it to the point where they are happy. Some are like super critical about that. Also engineers, and I invited a few folks to talk to me about the topic. And they are all standing here. One actually managed to grab a glass of white wine. That's Stefan. Stefan, welcome on stage. Then Stefan, founder of Freiheit.com. And Fabian is also standing there, no glass of white wine. He is the replacement for Charity, who has a sick cat, as we all know. Then D.Proppe, University of Wedel, professor at the University of Wedel. Where is he? Where is he? Where is he? There. Welcome on stage. Hey. Maybe. Start while you're still sober with Stefan. Stefan, can you like tell us a few words on yourself and your stance on AI productivity?
That's fast. Hello, my name is Stefan Richter. I'm the founder, CEO, and head of engineering from Freiheit.com Technologies. We are building software for over a quarter of a century now, and I started programming in 1983 on an Apple II, and at that time AI was still like symbolic AI, expert systems. I was very interested in that. Neural networks were not the thing at that time that much. People were interested in, but nobody thought that they would be good. And but it was always like something that also kept me going in computer science, thinking this fantastic idea when we can build machines who are smarter, or which are smarter than humans. And I still believe this is possible to build because I deeply think we are kind of a machine. But I'm not so sure that this is really still a good thing that we do this. But that's maybe also a topic we can discuss. About productivity, of course, it's crazy what you can do now, the context they can keep and the things that they can reason about. But they will not replace us now.
Okay. Fabian? Quick introduction and your stance.
Yeah, hi, I'm Fabian. I'm CTO for like 15 years now. I was CTO of Rocket Internet. I co-founded a shop system called S.Richter. And right now I'm starting my solopreneur career. I'm personally going all in AI. So I'm using AI agents for building technology, and the technology is then using AI. So I'm personally all into AI. My family is a bit pissed off of this. My kids, my biggest son is now in university, and they are more afraid of AI. It's interesting. So at home, I need to be careful with my optimism because my family is less optimistic than I am. So for my kids, AI is stealing jobs, opportunities. So, but for me personally, it's great. So I'm totally a big fan.
Yeah, I remember when I explained it to my daughter, like what will humans do in the future, etc. And that was like quite a dark discussion. Like she's 8 now. So yeah, happy to chat about that later on as well.
I think we will just do more great things.
Yes, most likely.
I think we will be more productive creating more things.
Yeah, maybe kids can actually teach us what to do, right?
I want to say, so I wrote my first line of code in 92. So
started 83.
85. Somewhere in the middle here.
But it's okay.
Okay. Hi, my name is Dennis. it's still strange to say I'm a professor of computer science at F.Wedel. Just quick hands up, who studied at F.Wedel? Oh, at least.
A lot of our people came from F.Wedel. We worked with Professor Schmidt. Do you know him?
Yeah, I know.
The crazy guy. I loved him. I made some diplomas with him.
We still cite you on our recruiting page for new students.
That's cool.
Like, Stefan Richter likes us.
That's good.
Okay, but before I've been a CTO for almost 15 years of a company I founded together with some friends. It was a software company that had machine learning at their core, so I was always kind of really on the frontier of AI right until the moment it really took off. Then I was a people manager, so I left AI basically around the attention is all you need paper time. Great timing, but now I'm back, and my research topic at my university is actually AI-assisted coding really helping software businesses to be more efficient or not? So my stance is, let's look at the data. It's not that easy.
So that's great for my follow-up question for you, actually. What is the best study you saw so far on productivity gains and why? And what was the finding?
Okay, that's really a cool question, especially because my talk tomorrow is about that, so I don't want to spoil it too much. So my opinion is, and I have to maybe get a bit in history before that. So I was trained to be a very skeptical and rigorous empirical researcher like 15 years ago. And so I would say there is no good study at the moment. Not one that is really like empirically sound as a major science industry would be. There are some studies and they have first results, but most of them have very brittle effects because they have not a lot of people in them. So I don't know if you know the Meta study that has been very famously cited in summer that says developers think they are faster, but they aren't. It had 15 people in it.
Ooh.
15.
Amazing.
They say it's 16, but only 15 completed it completely. But you have also studies with 5,000 people, but then they are not really rigorous because they were like a field experiment. So at the moment we have a little bit of, let's say, empirical evidence, but it's by far not a major field.
I mean, I have to jump into this because it's so funny. People were also doing in COVID times, like asking people, are they more productive from home? And then you look into the studies, find out they ask people if they are productive. So this is not working. So first you have to define what productivity actually is. I know it's super hard to measure because we measure productivity, because we give people the data to improve themselves. So it's very difficult. And the studies that are out there, when you go to a normal organization, nobody's measuring productivity, nobody knows how to do it. So really measuring it is not existing from my perspective.
You can. So the easiest way to measure productivity is, of course, have an A/B group, right? I mean, you have one.
That's what the good of them do. They have like
the optimum is having one guy with 3 to 6 months experience of web engineering, 10 years of coding, and that this one guy build an application against a whole team without AI. And I'm pretty sure the one guy would win in terms of speed and functionality, etc.
But that's not productivity that you can compare. I mean, having a single person writing code with an AI, and he's really good at writing code and using AI, of course he's very good, and he's very productive.
It is a proof.
Yeah, but this is only a proof that a single person in this situation can do it.
My point is...
Not proving that you can use this in an organization to make everybody productive.
True. My point is AI productivity is something that everybody has to learn. So all the team leads out there, all the CTOs, they have zero hands-on experience with this because they did not spend half a year, 1 year of doing this because this is all very new. All the tools we are using are half-year-old or 1 year old. So nobody has experience. That means at the moment, the only productivity gain is for a single person building small projects. And here you can compare, here you see an uplift. Everything else is not mature. So bigger organizations that have problems of buying these tools, deciding for these tools, the CTO never used them in practice, etc. So here, of course, there's no productivity uplift. But here, you're not measuring the productivity uplift of the tools. You're measuring the the broken state of the organization. So, and I think
that's
why
true.
this is mixing up the results.
So that's what the research called the burn-in effect. So all of these studies have like these uptick at the beginning, and that the good studies cut where they have to learn to work with AI. Actually, one of these studies is from 22 when GitHub Copilot was like released first. So there is some data, and there is a, let's say, gold standard for this, and it's randomized controlled trial, what a lot of studies do. So they send one team without AI to a task that is very similar to another team that is not using AI, and these teams and the tasks are chosen randomly. And there are some results on that, and there are productivity gains even in teams, but when and how is not really defined right now, because there's just no research on it. It's very like, we have like some spotlights maybe that are already lit, but the whole area is still dark.
But I mean, we are sure that when you use AI, you can be more productive. Of course, more difficult when you have like larger groups. So if you, for example, ask like Usain Bolt with his sneakers running 100 meters, and then you compare to a group of 100 people having to use the same sneakers climbing a hill. So this is basically what you try to compare in software teams. It's not the same thing. But we know you can generate a lot of great code if you give enough context, if you really put the time into it, and improve it step by step. And I think this is what most people don't really do. Companies want to buy it, but then they don't really know how to employ it, like really create all this information first, that the agent knows what a good code base look like, how the code base should look like, and all these things, because they have shitty code bases already. When the agent looks into the code base, he can only generate bad code. So there's so many things we have to clean up before you can be really productive with it, and still you will have productivity gains anyways. But
that makes the actual speccing super complex, right, and super time consuming. And then some engineers would ask like, hey, is it really better than what I would do with my own hands today, right?
So I have the feeling we're going into a direction where the best developers are product engineers, because they are full stack. I mean, they do the requirements, they do the actual development, they do the wireframing, the testing. So one person.
That's what all our people do in our company.
Or one, or maybe plus two, one, or maybe three people become so extremely productive that they will outpace every team. So a team of 3 can outpace a team of 50. And now the question is, what will happen first? Will these very small, very strong teams with high salaries, will they become the winner of this? And the big teams that cannot change quick enough will just die and people will lose their jobs more or less? Or will companies manage to get these big teams with medium, junior developers mixed onto speed? And if I would working in a company now as a team lead or developer, whatever, I would always be afraid of this shift. So away from me writing code to somebody else maximizing AI. That's why my advice for everyone is go all in AI, no matter what your employee is doing, no matter if your job requires this. Go all in AI and build your applications after work. Build your own little SaaS applications, because the skills are super. You take 2-3 months to learn, and it's changing so quickly. So you will definitely lose that race if you don't do it now. I think now it's time to go all in, and then you move from the big group of people who are not good in this into the very small group of product engineers who will earn super high salaries and will lead the industry.
Well, or will be another tool which is way cooler than Claude Code, which will kill Claude Code in 3 months and let you start from scratch, right? Like, I mean, I'm not against it. Like, I'm a big fan as well, but I think that's like the problem with early adoption sometimes, right? And it's not early adoption here.
Early adoption was 2 years ago. Early adoption was GitHub Copilot and this things. Right now the tools are so great, and they are great. So. 1 year ago, just 1 year ago, Cursor was doing tab completions. And you could also write and it give you a little bit of code. But Cursor had no agent inside. So December last year, Cursor had no agent. There was Windsurf, some of you may remember, this was the first agent. And all the agents in Cursor, Cloud Code, or if you use something else like Klein or so, they all happened this year. And what Malte was just showing, you build one agent per case. Even this feels a bit outdated because most cases you can just do with Cloud Code. You can use Cloud Code and tell Cloud Code, do a competitor research, do this or this. It will just do it for you. So it feels like technology is moving so fast. Universities have no chance, sorry. So, and in a year from now, maybe this will be completely outdated and something else will happen.
Can I get another twist into this? Because, again, what is productivity, right? And so, I mean, the companies today, the whole society today is so inefficient that if you fire 50% of all companies, nothing will happen, nothing bad. Probably only good things will happen because suddenly people are super productive. So you can easily fire 50% and then everything would be super productive without any AI. You just have to fire people. And they will find great jobs because we need them in other places as well, like dentists or whatever. Like it's like
or even in software engineering, right? Like the folks that build something that
we need
they
more
maintain something and now they are no longer maintaining it.
We need more of them because we will just build more great shit.
No. But yeah,
okay,
well,
but about the productivity. Let's say, because we have the numbers in our company, we know when we work with other companies, often their engineers often only spend 10 to 15% of their time writing code. They don't know this, but we figure out when they work with us because we have metrics for everything. So we try to be in our teams 55 to 65%. And this is super hard to get when you're in a large project because you have to figure out what you have to do because we do this end-to-end thing. You have to figure out the requirements, you do the planning yourself, and then you write the code. So we are very efficient and get to that point. There's so many people who only spend like 10% of their time doing this and 90% is something else. And if you want to optimize these 10% with a little bit better code, the question is actually, why do you write this code? Where does the idea come from? I mean, a single developer doesn't know what it wants to build. It sits there and says, like, I want to build now a cool thing. But if you have to work with other people, suddenly your productivity gets down. And this is not fixed just by applying AI in your code engine in the end.
No, but through like potentially replacing all the people with one Fabian who knows the game. No, I mean, like I actually have a case where I we accidentally did that. Huh?
He has to talk to people to figure out what to build.
Yes.
I would like to answer on this because I hear this very often that in our company we do only 10% of the time is coding. Yeah, it's because you are agency.
Not us.
You are agency business model which is.
We are not an agency. We're an engineering company.
But yeah, and we only do 10% coding. That's why AI will not help us. Yeah, you do only 10% because you have so many people that need to interact. If you would get rid of 90% of them and keep only the 5 best, they would not. Then their coding time would be 90%, and then AI would have a massive hit. So I think people are wasting time with Jira nonsense and microservice and blocking each other, etc. So there AI will not help, of course. But this is legacy problems.
I totally get. You are totally right. When the companies would get rid of people, you have less communication to do. That's totally true. But still, when you build a large system that will have millions of lines of code, you cannot just prompt this. You have to really ask people, what is your work? What are you doing every day? And then you build tools for humans. And this is why engineers have to talk with humans. And so you cannot get rid of them. You cannot write 90% of your time code if you don't know what the humans want. So you need the humans in the loop.
Well,
I don't disagree, but you do not need, but even this work, which is probably the hardest, figuring out what people want, even this you have a few very good people who can do this, excellent, the good product managers, the good product owners, and then a lot of mediocre.
But from my perspective, like people often don't talk about legacy and leave that out of the equation. But that's actually where AI really shines, right? Like as Malte just said, like the shitty work that no one wants to do, or the work where like people actually left that wrote the code. You can now use Code or whatever to kind of inspect, hey, what has been done, and like on a greenfield, like rebuild the software without all the legacy. Then and there it's really like a big winner from my perspective. If you have like a 1-2 people team that really loves instructing the agents to rebuild that.
And that's sorry.
It's not so easy. But you first. I always interrupt.
So maybe you want to say something different, but that's actually a very good point. So I'm working for like a not-for-profit organization in my free time on an app that I would never have touched with a 10-foot pole before AI, because it was written some, I think it was Vue.js. I'm not a front-end developer at all. And they got sold on it by an agency that said, here, that's the final app. But it didn't have a backend. It was just a poster. And I could slap on a backend in, 6 hours on it. And without having even to read the code, I just had an agent walk through it. So, but I was a single developer in this case. And this is also what the research...
a small code base.
And a very small code base. But this is also what the research at the moment says. If the code is not that complex and not that entangled, AI helps you actually more. So if you have a really large code base that you're really, really knowledgeable in, then the speed up effects are not as high. Be in mind that this research is cut off somewhere in the middle of 2025. So it's already outdated. But this was the sentiment until the mid of 2025. The more complex the code base is, the less AI helps you.
If you don't give like super precise instructions and nail down the context to like a deep degree. Right?
That is something that has not been studied. But
I
People are
think
currently figuring out how to do that.
no, I think this legacy code base is something which will be solved on itself. Like, I mean, we need maybe with the next iteration of the LMMs and the next better cloud code, you can probably just give it an entire old code base and let it rewrite. I think this happened to the JavaScript compiler, right? I think which is Rust now. I'm not 100% sure. I think this was changed, right?
It's rewritten in Go, right?
Rewritten in Go.
Yeah.
But this was not fully automated, but like 80-90%. The guy was having a talk about it. Like he was really taking file by file, kicking each file into the LMM and let it rewrite into different language. So this was not super shitty legacy for sure.
And it's a compiler, right? It's very well studied.
But in a year from now, you can take the entire whatever old shitty banking software that's running since 1980 and let it rewrite everything in PHP, if you like.
problem is there was not enough Fortran in the training set.
That's a funny thing because we're actually doing this. We do a lot of like legacy systems, and so currently we're working on a large system for a large insurance company, a mainframe software written in APL. Whoever had, you look it up, APL is a programming language, over 50 years old, or 70 years maybe, can it be? Yeah, probably. So it's very old, and it's very obscure. So it's like, I didn't know that these character sets existed at that time, because it was still ASCII, it was not Unicode, so it's really crazy stuff. So normally they try to get people from the graveyard who know this language, and we're gonna like, no, we learn this ourselves. We use the code and then we write the software. But you cannot just translate it, because it's a different architecture. On a mainframe, you scale everything vertically. In a microservice world, you scale everything horizontally. So you have to write completely different system. And this is a more difficult transformation than just literally translating one software from one place to another. And as many people are now trying to get to companies say like, oh, we will migrate your legacy systems by just putting AI on it. And then they figure out it's not that easy.
I mean, it's not that easy. But I mean, we have a case in our company. As you know, we acquire SaaS companies, and we have one company that like we acquired without, like, let's say me wanting to acquire it. And they had like 50 people roughly on board at the highs, and now they're at the lows. Like, business is not going well, and they, like, many people also like quit. And the team is very, very small, and that effect of, oh, the guy who has written this is just gone, is quite large on such an organization, and rebuilding this with two people in, let's say, few months is absolutely possible with something like Claude. And that's amazing from my perspective. And I mean, I'm kind of into like figuring out legacy, and it's boring, but it's a huge effect on the productivity of engineering, I think, that you can now analyze legacy that you were never able to analyze before and get rid of that.
And I would like to say one of the effects that you also discussed with Malte about junior developers, etc. So my recommendation to young people is to not go into this direction anymore, becoming developer, because single people will increase their productivity, factor 10, factor 100, factor 1,000 over the next years. But the there's a lot of customer-facing software, but the awareness of users is not increasing. So the amount of information that each of you can consume stays. So your day will not have 36 or 48 hours because of AI. Your day is only the same 24 hours. So there is a limit. That means creating more software or different software won't work. The market is completely saturated with software. I'm a solopreneur, so I'm creating small SaaS apps, and I know that many other people are also doing this. So the amount of SaaS software that you will get now will like 100,000 times bigger now in the next year, because it's so easy to build a SaaS application. But the market size is the same. So same amount of people, nothing changes.
Is it? I would question
The
that.
problem is
I
not
think
writing the
market size
code. The
also
problem is getting the users. It's actually a marketing problem. Everybody can write code, but nobody can get users.
I think finally software business is going where all the other business are already. They have to start with the market and not with I can build this. Because I see still a lot of people. I mean, I'm at F.Wesner and I teach a lot of people who want to be developers, and most of them still think that if they can teach the computer to do whatever they want, they are set for life. And that is not the case, because everybody will be able to do this in the near future. So it's really about finding out what other people maybe don't like the talk from Malte, where he said, find out what really sucks at your workplace and do something for it.
But what you said is like there will be like superstars more.
Of course.
Than today.
And they eat all the cake.
It will be like creators.
And they eat all the
enough
cake.
space for everybody. We need so much software.
I don't think so, because I really think the awareness of people is limited. You can only use that much software. And software that have no head, software that's running under the hood, is also limited. You do not need, plus there are agents who are actually doing all of this. So Malte showed different agents with different scenarios. I am personally using only one agent, and the entire instruction is a prompt. Do this, do this, do this. I provide the tools. So I never in my life implemented an agent, but I'm using agents all day for everything. I'm using it for everything. They make my text. But I never programmed one. I never used n8n, because Cloud Code is doing everything. I just tell it what it should do, and it's doing it. And so I don't even need to program this. So what I want to say is, the stuff that has a UI, this is limited by the amount of users. And this is like, we are only 8 billion people.
But the UI will disappear. You will
even worse.
If I have these Facebook glasses, right? And I use them on the summer party when we went out. And if this also had applications in it, this is a nightmare, right? You film the whole stuff, what's happening, then you can interact with the whole world, and everybody has glasses like this. This is the future we have. This is why I'm less optimistic that this is a great idea. But actually, like the user interface will disappear. You can have access to so much software. It will be in everything. Every small seat will have software. Every lamp, every door, every shoe will have software. It's like it will be everywhere.
But that's already the case. And
it will all be generated by AI.
But I mean, this is really a very old question here. It's an economics question that is in economics for like hundreds of years now. The question is, will the market grow faster than the supply? And
Jevons paradox, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And up until now, the market has always won. So the market always grew faster than the supply side. I have no idea if this will still be the case, but a lot of really renowned economists are really bullish on that.
It must be like that, because a market is defined by that entrepreneurs find inefficiencies in a market. They must first exist, and then they build a company and supply to that niche. And then it gets bigger. So it will always be like that.
And do we really think there will be no inefficiencies left in 20 years?
Never, ever.
Exactly.
I think it will all work out. But my main point was, I think the amount of developers needed will shrink.
Okay, I'm
Not
totally 100% positive.
That's why I also disagreed with what Malte said about the junior developers. So I would only superstars. So these 18 years old superstars coding since 6 years. These guys can do it. But everybody who's like feels like. I personally would not do it. So I think most people in this room are safe because we are all old enough.
But I'm not sure. I think the role of the developer potentially will just evolve. I mean, where like all of a sudden people that write all their stuff in English will be available and will be better than others and will be able to kind of prompt, like I don't believe in prompt engineering, but will be able to just build the better piece of whatever. Like maybe it won't be like called software anymore. Maybe it will just be something different. Like I mean, look at like the markets that we've seen evolving, right? Like, I mean, social media engineers or social media managers that didn't exist like 10 years ago, and now it's everywhere, and now it's shrinking again. But there are markets appearing everywhere, and I think that will continue, right? And maybe it's not the developer, but different.
Can I give a direct answer? Yeah. Because you mentioned writing prompts. I mean, an agent is nothing else than an AI that writes prompts.
Yes.
So that means you give one main prompt, it will write then 10, 20 other prompts. So even writing prompts is already into the AI. The only thing that human is doing, giving the main prompt. And now we could easily imagine another AI on top, which itself make it a market research, which itself figures out on Reddit what applications needed, which itself is building the application, deploying the application, and even using the APIs to buy some Google AdSense. So theoretically, this can all be done with the existing technology. We just need a brave entrepreneur who's doing it. So we are almost there that the business can grow completely without the human. And this is also where I think the linear growth of the market and of the supply side is disturbed, because supply side is exponential now, while market is still linear.
Markets have never been linear, but
we still need the data centers and the energy for it, which we in Europe don't have. We have very expensive energy. We will never have AI like this here.
I also think it's very much a cultural thing. Really, if you ask people from either side of the Atlantic, they will answer always completely different things about that. So I think the jury is really not out on that. You cannot say this with certainty. But one thing I wanted to concede to you, even in 2021, when I was still running my company, I really wouldn't hire engineers that just wanted to complete a spec by transforming it into code. I always wanted to have product engineers, because these are the people that push your organization forwards. And I think for these kinds of software engineers that just say, okay, give me really here the spec and I will just turn it into code, this is not a future job. This is a job that is already almost gone.
But this is what most engineers are doing.
I know,
And
but they will
companies
have to
are
do
buying
different things.
Large companies buy this. It's
Yeah,
like
but this is something that's, for me, that's even, I'm sorry, inefficiency in the market.
India.
Yeah, I know, but it's an inefficiency already, because it's very inefficient how it's done. And as all inefficiency, it will vanish over time. But there will be new ones.
So for me as a developer, you have three options now. You can completely ignore it. And this is what most people do.
wouldn't.
They just go on the job and do whatever the employer is asking and just earn the money and good. This is what most people are doing, and this is the worst decision.
Unless you have a savings rate of about 80% of your salary, then maybe it's okay.
And not everybody can be an entrepreneur. Not everybody can run a group of people. Not
No,
everybody
fine.
can do marketing. It's like people are not equal. They have different skills.
So this was option one. Option two is you are so afraid of this, you're leaving the market. I also saw this already. So people just say, I will stop being developer because my job will be substituted. No, I become
Taxi driver.
premium
they
bakery.
should leave-
The
they
one
should-
was doing with premium bakery.
And they should leave because they will never be entrepreneurs.
It's fine.
If they give
it's
up.
fine. Yeah. Or you can go all in. And all in doesn't mean anything more than just doing this. Know all the tools, pay your $100 per month for cloud code, etc. Just do it and do the learning curve.
Yeah.
And I think it's either as an entrepreneur or not, doesn't matter. Just do it.
But I think there's so much inefficiency in the market because like many engineers are still at the state where they just want to have fun and want to use technology for fun, not for the sake of a certain like business use case. I think that will be the first thing to be cleaned out, right? Like engineers have to understand their customers. Engineers have to potentially even talk to customers. Engineers have to be interested in business problems. And I think that's still, like we're still not there. And I think that will be the first thing to...
Of course. I mean, also knitting was a job, you know.
Yeah.
Now it's a hobby.
Yeah.
What was the job?
Knitting.
Yeah.
Knitting? What is
Or
knitting?
sewing, like making pullovers from fabrics.
Ah.
That was a job. I mean, it still is in some parts of the world, but now it's a hobby for most people. And I think this will, what you describe, this will be a hobby.
And the funny thing, what you said, we come back to the beginning of the discussion about productivity. The inefficiencies in the market exist because nobody can measure productivity for engineers or is not doing it. So this is why CFOs say, oh, we don't create new engineering jobs or developer jobs in Germany. We hire people from India. They think they get a cheaper price and the same quality, but they don't know what they get. They just pay stuff.
Yeah.
And so if productivity would be measurable, everything will change. Like then companies have an incentive to be efficient, to have productivity, and then you can also see what AI is actually bringing. Because I think most companies should just clean up their shops, and then they would be efficient without any AI at all.
But this is also nothing new. Most people, most managers even are afraid of this. Most of them know this, but they are in their path effects and set in the ways, and they are afraid of this change.
Yeah, and they have no clue. I mean, almost all IT managers I know, probably including most of you, have no hands-on experience with AI coding. I mean, a bit. Everybody has a bit, but I mean, you're really building application yourself for half a year. You cannot do it when you're a CTO. I mean, how do you do that? You have a team. You cannot. Right. But this is a big problem because you have to. And
it's fun.
Or you can have a team potentially that does it, right? And experiment with it. Like, I mean, you're still not getting the knowledge yourself, which you long-term have to. But
as a CTO, you have to. You can also not be a good CTO when you're not a developer. Then you will always be some hands-off IT manager, and you will totally depend on your chief architect.
Yeah.
That's why, and this is an industry-wide problem. So the IT managers are not, the CTOs have not enough hands-on experience with AI development. And and then how can you teach your own team? You cannot. You have no clue. And you can only do try and error. And then you have the one guy who's super good and is totally against AI coding. He will not do it, etc.
And this is also probably why the adoption will take a very long time.
Yeah.
It's totally true.
So as a CEO, I would probably force my CTO out of the job for 2 months and say, now you build some big application yourself. Come back and show me.
Yeah. And hopefully the CTO will catch up, right? I mean, that there are ones that are super interested in it, some that find it boring, I guess, or offending.
I actually know quite a few CTOs who do that, do like night coding, and they tell me that they churn out thousands of lines of code just to stay on top. And
some are doing it.
Yeah.
And this is the first time ever. So I learned my development stuff in 2000 something. And most things and then I became CTO in 2010. And I was doing meta programming with developers. So I told to work with developers, and together we created the architecture, but I was not writing the code anymore. But everything I learned 10 years ago was still valid. Classes, methods, solid design patterns. So my knowledge stayed valid for 20 years. And I mean, I needed to learn a bit about new.
I wouldn't agree with design patterns, but that's a different discussion.
I needed to learn a bit. I mean, there was React and stuff. I needed to learn a bit technology, but learning technology takes 2 weeks. This is easy. But the principles that I learned and what were deep in my brain, they stayed. And this is the first time for a long time, maybe the first time ever, that there's a fundamental change and the skills of a CTO is invalidated. So all your knowledge about how to write code doesn't matter anymore, because now it's about how to use AI to empower your team. And I think this is a big problem, that people have not hands-on practice, only theory. The good ones will do at night. True.
Yeah, and I have to admit, I have found really my fun again in coding doing this. So I've not been coding for 10 years while I was a CTO, just minor stuff that my team was afraid that I'm going to push to production. And since 2022, I'm coding like tons of apps. I'm helping other startups, and I love it because it gives me the feeling of being really productive. I can do whole software suites that I couldn't do alone before. So I think there are a lot of people who really enjoy it and also embrace it.
It is extremely enjoyable, but of course it requires an extra investment of time. So you go home at 7 p.m. and bring your kids to bed, and then you sit down and make another 3-4 hours. And most people at some certain high seniority level will just not do it.
While others doom scroll on Instagram, you can write code.
That's true. And it's much more fun.
So we didn't have a break, and I would give us like another 7 minutes so that we have some time before Tom starts. I would encourage some questions from the audience, or some input from the audience, actually, because it's a topic that keeps us all busy. So we need a mic there.
Hello, I'm Dennis. I could achieve almost everything with AI. It could replace my database knowledge, let's say programming language skills, everything. One thing, two things I found. It cannot replace still its intent in clarity. So what you do and why you do. So kind of looking into bigger picture. What, with your experience, did you face that AI cannot replace today?
I think you named two really good things. So I'm also of the opinion that you said it cannot be turtles all the way down, right? So at the moment there needs to be a human behind it who exactly delivers this, what you said. Like an intent, something I want to do, and being really clear about what it is, because AI still tend to, get in these blah, blah, blah loops. But apart from that, I don't know. What do you think? I think that's basically it.
There's one big gap. I mean, everything else is manageable. You can write good specifications. You can micromanage the AI, writing the code. You can review the code. But what's really, really, really missing is wipe marketing and wipe sales, because this is where usually the fun stops. The application is done. Nobody knows about it. Nobody's buying it. And this is the part where AI is not helpful right now.
And the most important distribution chain is right now being disrupted as well, right? Like, I mean, in the past we've
Google.
been yes.
AdSense.
I mean, how's that going to work, right? I think there, is the need for a certain advertising model in LLMs as well, and then that maybe introduces again a lot of inefficiencies because it basically destroys their product again. Because right now, I mean, if I look on Google and write, I don't know, I was moving recently and wanted to write a review on the moving company we moved with, and it took me 10 clicks, or I actually misclicked on a few other companies because Google wanted me to. And it's a shitty product, right? And if ChatGPT is becoming a shitty product again, there are again niches for other things. So let's see. But right now, distribution becomes the problem.
I would love to have a cursor for marketing.
Yeah.
So find all the restaurants in my area and make them aware of my software. I will willing to pay for this.
Well, that
Anybody wants to
exists,
build
right? 11x and all those
but
other
not with
Clay,
emails.
etc.
This is not legal in Germany. Not emails.
Yeah, but that's the thing. Creating customers is an entrepreneur thing. Only entrepreneurs can create.
And this is not a new problem. It's just not easier to mask it with another problem. A lot of entrepreneurs do that. So I work with entrepreneurs also from my university, and they are all tinkerers and builders, and they think the work is done when they have built it. But this is just the entry. After that, the real work starts. So we teach this now to engineers. We teach how to build a market, for example, how to, go to market.
But that knowledge is again outdated that you're teaching there because Google is disappearing.
We're doing it in a project kind of work. They have to build something during the course. They build it themselves.
Okay.
I have so many Google shares. Okay, but I think one thing is what I always ask myself is is natural language good to get the details right? It's the same like everybody was looking for painting pictures to create software, right? And then there's maybe a different abstraction level. And then to think today I thought about let's think about Leonardo da Vinci. He said I want to paint the picture of a woman. I want to call her Mona Lisa. So AI create this picture and say the smile is not correct. Can you do this a little bit different? So and this is so difficult to do, to get the details right, what you have in your head and prompt it, that I'm not really sure if for really getting the details right, AI is really the right thing because it's natural language interface.
And then there are the connections to other software that you also need, right? Like APIs, etc. I mean, APIs and tools kind of solved, but I mean, building a flight simulator with Gemini is super simple, but building a teamwork tool that is supposed to be used in all of your company.
Like a real flight simulator, do you want to sit in that plane that was just prompted? No, probably not. You need many AIs to check that the software works.
I think there's
more questions.
Yeah. I have a question here to Stefan. Hi, Stefan. So you guys are building software for clients, and I can imagine they want you to be more productive and faster and build the stuff faster. And so it's good if you use AI. But do you have rules in place so that your clients are not thinking, oh, these guys are just generating it with AI, and that they're not really doing the work? Have you faced this kind of sensitivity? And do you have rules in place on how to manage it, manage the expectations there?
But is that a problem if they are building it with AI? I don't think so. If the quality is okay, then and the client buys it?
No, so we have a rule, for example, that new starters in our company cannot use AI. And we have also rules about how to use AI in the end. But we, as you know, we worked on a large project together. We are already very efficient. And so we are very transparent. So we have everybody can see our numbers, our plans. We share exactly the same data that we have a very high situational awareness. We give our clients access to that software and they can see what we see. So there's nobody thinking like we are doing this with AI. And I said like, yeah, if it would work, we would do it. But in the project where we had, like, for example, this Lidl project was the largest software project in the history of Lidl. It's even larger than the Metro one that we did together. Basically, it's so big that it several times failed, like because it was so big to tackle it. And it's very, very difficult there were many companies trying to come in and say like, we can replace it with AI. And it's not that easy. It's too big. You can, for some parts, we found some AI tools that we built to do some shortcuts for setting up stuff and so, but really replacing a complete module never worked because you also have to remove code, you have to ask people about the rules, should they stay like that? So there's a lot of human things in this. So, and this is very visible that we do that because it takes a lot of effort in a large organization to get to that information. And this is why I said like, it's not just programming, it's like talking with users because we build tools for humans. And so we never had this problem actually.
Thank you. So now we only have one question left, and I wanted no, not the closest one. Chris, he's raising his hand for hours now, and he had a few glasses of wine. I hope he's still okay and he is able to ask questions.
Yeah, I'm actually quite drunk already, but thank you. No, I think what you guys are describing is exactly right, and what you're looking for is GTM engineering, which is actually now the hot topic these days, which we've been doing for a few years here. And I just wanted to get your thoughts on that, because you can do a project at Lidl, but if you don't find the customers for it, then it's not much of a use, right? So you're looking for the GTM engineering, and what's your take on that? And that's where AI will be applicable, for example, because it can assist you in getting those workflows aligned.
But it's not GNTM engineering.
GTM, go to market.
Engineering.
Germany's next top model.
No, not that.
So no, they have, this is internal software, so they have like, all their branches are using it, so it's very large. So they have customers. Of course, I can't answer.
And if they pay for it, then that's fine. Maybe you don't need GTM engineering. But as like someone working in SaaS, you kind of need that, right?
Yes. So go-to-market is obviously the hardest thing for every.
I mean, that's exactly what we try to teach our students now, especially in the master's program, that it's not enough to build something. You have to build something with the market in mind, and you have to ask people. I physically forced people to ask people leaving their cars at a car park to ask them about pain points. Like developers had to go out and ask 20 people just in a shitty afternoon getting out of their cars, what do you hate about parking? And this was great because they actually learned what real problems are.
So yes, we need that.
Yes.
When you pass the microphone down, maybe the guy on the corner? Can I say
That's really the last question now. Simon.
Thank you very much. Yeah, my name is Simon.
Guess, yeah?
I have a question regarding like the model that you have in mind of your software, and you're writing like a big code base. At the end, when you try it with the LLMs and so forth, the LLM will eat its shit and it produce errors and whatever. And when you don't write the code yourself, it's kind of like I always compare it by just reading a book or writing a book, or listening to an audiobook is even worse. You just lose like the whole understanding of the software. If it's a big complex system and it grows over time, how do you keep like up to date with everything, what is happening? And if you see an error in production, that you know, okay, this is related between this model and all that stuff. And I think you only get this when you really read and really maybe rewrite the code.
Yeah, you have to decide. There are two ways, right? There's wipe coding. This is for people who are not coding or just doesn't matter because internal tooling. You just give the prompt and it's writing the code. So I'm doing this for my own software that I'm using at home. So I don't care. But when I build applications professionally, I'm doing wipe, the other thing, which has no name. I call it wipe engineering, which is actually
agentic coding, maybe, right?
Agentic coding. Yeah. I prefer wipe, but it doesn't matter. But not wipe coding. It's AI empowered development, but it's totally normal development where I precisely say what I should do, and I know the code was produced. So I worked as CTO with teams where I worked exactly the same way with teams. So I had like 8-10 developers, and I instructed them, and then they did this. And I was always fully aware of what they do and their output, and I reviewed the code. And doing exactly the same now, it's just much, much faster because I don't need to wait a week or two. It usually takes 2 minutes. But the process is the same. So at least for myself, and I think this is the best practice, this code is exactly the code which I would have written myself, just much faster. And I think this is the healthy approach for now. Maybe in a year or two, doesn't matter anymore. It's just working. I don't care how it's working. So, but for now, you need to own your stuff.
So basically you have a big repository, or with your repository you have like one folder which contains like all of the instructions to the LLM, which you use to write the software, right? And the whole context, right?
And I mean, I know the architecture in my head, like every CTO knows architecture of your system. But if you do not do that, if you let AI just build stuff, then you lose it. Then you are a forager to your own software, and which is fine if the software is only for yourself. But if you run it professionally and then it's breaking and you do not know what to do and you desperately write, hey, please fix the bug, then you're lost. This is a very bad practice, I would say.
This is really funny. This really resonates with me because since I've also apart from being a professor, I'm coding stuff myself, and I was a CTO before, and my GitHub looks exactly the same as it was when I worked with a team. Only all the issues are assigned to me. But I write everything down, I write pull requests, I review them. I work as if I would work with a team, but the team is the AI, and I actually enjoy this very much.
And then why would you do a team?
Maybe.
Okay, thank you. Let's have a break, 15 minutes, till 5 past.